My sister rolled her eyes at the airport gate and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "She can't even afford economy." Then she smirked, linked arms with our father, and walked into the first-class boarding line without looking back. I stood there, 20 feet away, holding my carry-on. The terminal buzzed with travelers, but in that moment, I felt every single pair of eyes on me. My name is Mia Ashford. I'm 34, a senior director at one of the top consulting firms in the world, but my family didn't know that. They didn't ask. And what they were about to discover, what that entire terminal was about to witness, would change everything. What my sister didn't know was that I wasn't flying commercial at all. And when the truth came out, it didn't just embarrass her, it ended her career. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Let me take you back to that morning. The first sign that I didn't matter to my family came 3 weeks earlier. I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break when I saw it. A photo of my sister Vanessa and our father at a travel agency, holding brochures for Paris. The caption read, "Planning the perfect family getaway. Can't wait for this father-daughter trip. Some things are just meant to be intimate." I stared at the screen. Family trip. Father-daughter. I refreshed the page thinking maybe I'd misread it. I hadn't. I called my father that evening. He picked up on the fourth ring. "Mia, what is it? I'm busy." "Dad, I saw Vanessa's post about Paris." Silence. Then, "It's a family trip, Mia. We thought it would be nice. Just the two of us." "Just the two of you," I repeated. "So I'm not family?" "You know what I mean. You're always so busy with work. We didn't think you'd have time." "You didn't ask." "Well," he cleared his throat. "It's already booked. Maybe next time." There wouldn't be a next time. We both knew it. I hung up and stared at my phone. 10 minutes later, Vanessa texted me. "Don't be dramatic. You wouldn't enjoy it anyway. It's for people who actually have time for family." I didn't respond. What was the point? They'd already decided who I was. The workaholic, the one who chose her career over relationships. The daughter who didn't fit their definition of success. What they didn't know was that I was already planning to be in Paris that same week. Not for vacation, for work, for the biggest deal of my career. But I didn't tell them. If they cared enough to ask about my life, they would have known. I made a decision that night. I would go to Paris. I would close my deal. And I would let them live in their ignorance until reality forced them to see me. The second sign came 2 weeks before the trip, at a family dinner I almost didn't attend. My father had insisted. "It's important, Mia, we hardly see you anymore." I showed up at their house in Westchester at 7. Vanessa was already there with her husband Marcus and their 2 kids. The table was set with my mother's good china, the kind we only used for special occasions. "There she is," my father said when I walked in. He didn't get up. "The ghost who finally appears." Vanessa laughed. "We were taking bets on whether you'd actually show." I set down the wine I'd brought. "I said I'd be here." "You also said you'd come to Emma's birthday party," Vanessa said, referring to her daughter. "But you were too busy working." "I sent a gift." "A gift isn't the same as showing up, Mia." I bit my tongue. I'd been in London that week, closing a contract that would save 200 jobs, but explaining that would sound like an excuse. Dinner was tense. My father spent the entire meal talking about Vanessa's life, her kids' accomplishments, her husband's promotion, their new house. When he finally turned to me, he said, "And you, Mia? Still working yourself to death?" "I'm doing well, Dad. I just got promoted to senior director." He nodded absently. "That's nice. At least one of my daughters knows what really matters." He gestured to Vanessa. "Family, that's what counts in the end." Vanessa smiled and raised her glass. "To family." I didn't raise mine. Later, as I was leaving, Vanessa cornered me in the hallway. "You know, Mia, it's not too late. You could still find someone. Settle down. Have a real life." I looked at her. "I have a real life." "Do you?" She tilted her head. Because from where I'm standing, you just look lonely. I left without saying goodbye. The next morning, I met my colleague Lauren for coffee. She took one look at my face and said, "Family dinner? How'd you guess? You have that look, the one that says you've been reminded why you work 80-hour weeks." I laughed, despite myself. Lauren was one of the few people who understood. She'd been with the firm for 12 years and had her own stories about family members who didn't get it. "They're going to Paris," I said. "My dad and Vanessa. They didn't invite me." Lauren's eyes widened. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. Found out on Instagram." "Mia." She leaned forward. "Why don't you just tell them? About the Beaumont deal? About the fact that you're going to be in Paris the same week?" I stirred my coffee. "Because I shouldn't have to. If they cared, they'd ask. But they don't know." "Exactly." I set down my spoon. "They don't know because they've never asked. Not once in 5 years have they asked what I actually do. They just assume I'm some mid-level consultant pushing papers. You're about to become the youngest partner in the firm's history. They don't know that either." Lauren sat back. "So what are you going to do?" "I'm going to Paris. I'm going to close the Beaumont deal, and I'm going to let them figure it out on their own. When they see you there, they're going to lose their minds." "Maybe, but I'm not going for them, Lauren. I'm going for me." She smiled. "Good. You know what? I hope they do see you. I hope they see exactly who you are and what you've built. And I hope it makes them feel like idiots." I didn't say it out loud, but part of me hoped for that too. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted to be seen. Just once, I wanted my family to see me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Vanessa's words. "You just look lonely." Was I lonely? Maybe. But I was also successful, respected, independent. I'd built a career that mattered. I'd worked on deals that changed industries, saved companies, created opportunities for thousands of people. But none of that counted to my family, because I didn't have a husband, because I didn't have kids, because I didn't fit their narrow definition of what a woman's life should look like. And the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not the hot, explosive kind of anger, the cold, clarifying kind. The kind that makes you realize you've been accepting something unacceptable for far too long. For years, I'd let them treat me like I was less, like my life didn't count because it didn't look like theirs. I'd made excuses for them. I'd told myself they didn't understand. I'd convinced myself that if I just kept working, kept succeeding, eventually they'd see me. But they wouldn't, because they didn't want to. And if I kept silent, if I kept accepting their dismissal, I wasn't just letting them disrespect me. I was agreeing with them. I was telling myself that their version of success mattered more than mine. I sat up in bed and turned on the light. My laptop was on the nightstand. I opened it and pulled up my calendar. Paris, the Beaumont deal. 3 days of meetings that would determine the next 5 years of my career. This trip wasn't about proving anything to my family. It was about reclaiming my space, about refusing to shrink myself to fit into their world. I wasn't going to beg for their approval anymore. I was done. And if they happened to see me in Paris, if they happened to realize who I actually was, that was their problem, not mine. The Beaumont deal was everything. 5 years of work compressed into 3 days of meetings in Paris. Beaumont Industries was a French manufacturing conglomerate looking to expand into the American market. Our firm had been advising them for 18 months, but the final merger, worth $80 million, required face-to-face negotiations with their board of directors. And I was leading it, not my boss, not one of the senior partners. Me. If this deal closed, I'd become the youngest partner in Barrington and Hayes' 40-year history. I'd also prove that the last 5 years, the 80-hour weeks, the missed holidays, the relationships I'd sacrificed, had been worth it. Lauren had called it my make-or-break moment. She wasn't wrong. The meetings were scheduled for Wednesday through Friday at Beaumont's headquarters just outside Paris. I'd be presenting our final proposal on Thursday morning. If they accepted, we'd sign on Friday. If they didn't, 18 months of work would evaporate. No pressure. I'd spent the last 3 weeks preparing. I knew every number, every clause, every potential objection. I'd run through the presentation so many times I could do it in my sleep. My team had reviewed every document twice. We were ready. But there was one thing I hadn't planned for: running into my family. Their flight landed on Tuesday. Mine was scheduled for Tuesday morning as well, though they didn't know that. They thought I was in New York, probably working late at the office, living my lonely life. The irony wasn't lost on me. While they were planning Instagram posts and booking restaurant reservations, I was preparing for the most important negotiation of my career. This wasn't just a business trip. It was the culmination of everything I'd worked for, everything I'd sacrificed, everything they'd dismissed as just work. And when it was over, nothing would be the same. There's a question I'd been avoiding for months, maybe years. How many times can you be invisible before you disappear completely? I thought about it constantly in those weeks leading up to Paris. Every time my father ended a phone call without asking how I was. Every time Vanessa posted about family without including me. Every time I sat at dinner and realized no one had asked about my life. I was disappearing, not physically, but in every way that mattered. And the worst part? I'd been letting it happen. I'd told myself it was fine, that they didn't understand my world, that I was too busy to care. But the truth was simpler and more painful. I'd been shrinking myself to fit into their narrow view of who I should be. And it was killing me. I made a decision that week. If this trip to Paris didn't change things, if my family continued to treat me like I was less, I would stop trying. I would stop showing up to dinners where I was ignored. Stop accepting phone calls that felt like obligations. Stop pretending their approval mattered more than my own self-respect. I loved my family. I did. But I loved myself more. And I wasn't going to keep disappearing to make them comfortable. This was my line in the sand. Cross it, and we're done. I didn't tell anyone about this decision. Not Lauren, not my father, not even myself, really, until the night before my flight when I sat in my apartment and realized I felt lighter than I had in years. I wasn't angry anymore. I was clear. And clarity, I was learning, was a kind of power. I didn't know it then, but that morning at JFK would force the issue. It would take the decision out of my hands and make everything public in a way I never could have anticipated. JFK Terminal 1 was chaos that Tuesday morning. Travelers everywhere dragging suitcases, checking phones, buying overpriced coffee. I arrived at 9:30, 2 hours before my scheduled departure. I wasn't flying commercial, but I had to pass through the main terminal to reach the FBO, the fixed base operator facility where private jets departed. It was a route I'd taken dozens of times in the past 2 years. I was walking toward the exit when I saw them. My father and Vanessa, standing at the Air France first-class check-in counter, about 50 feet away. She was laughing at something on her phone. He was handing over their passports. I stopped walking. They hadn't seen me yet. I could have turned around, taken a different route, avoided the whole situation. But something made me stay. Maybe curiosity. Maybe that cold clarity I'd been feeling all week. I wanted to see what they'd do. I stood there, partially hidden behind a group of travelers, and watched. Vanessa was wearing designer everything: sunglasses, handbags, shoes. She looked like she was about to walk a runway, not board a plane. My father looked tired but content, the way he always did when Vanessa was around. Then Vanessa glanced up from her phone. Her eyes swept the terminal and landed on me. I saw the moment she registered my presence. Her eyes widened. She grabbed my father's arm and whispered something. He turned, following her gaze. Our eyes met across the crowded terminal. No smile, no wave, no acknowledgement beyond a brief nod. Then he turned back to the counter. Vanessa stared at me for another moment, her expression unreadable. Then she leaned in and whispered something else to our father. He nodded without looking at me again. I didn't move. I just stood there, watching them pretend I didn't exist. Vanessa finished at the counter first. She said something to our father, then started walking toward me, not away, toward. I didn't move. She stopped about 10 feet away, close enough that people around us could hear. Her voice was loud, deliberately loud. Mia, what are you doing here? I kept my tone neutral. Going to Paris, she laughed. On this flight? I didn't see your name on the manifest. I have my own arrangements. Her eyebrows shot up. Oh, let me guess. Economy plus? She said it like it was a joke, like the idea of me affording anything better was absurd. I didn't answer. Mia, she stepped closer, lowering her voice just slightly. Are you seriously following us? This is our trip. You weren't invited. I'm not following you, Vanessa. I'm going to Paris for work. Right. Work, she made air quotes. You know, it's getting sad. This whole thing where you pretend your job is more important than family. A few people nearby had stopped to watch. I could feel their attention like heat on my skin. I'm not pretending anything. Then why are you here? Her voice rose again. Why are you on our flight? I'm not on your flight. She blinked. What? I said I have my own arrangements. What does that even mean? I didn't answer. I just looked at her, calm and steady, until she got uncomfortable. She turned and called back to our father. Dad, can you believe this? She's following us to Paris. My father walked over, his expression tight. Mia, this is a family trip. We didn't invite you for a reason. Something in my chest tightened, but I kept my voice even. I know, Dad. I'm not here because of you. My father's jaw tightened. Then why are you here? I have business in Paris, Vanessa laughed, sharp and mean. Business? Please, you're just trying to insert yourself into our vacation. Believe what you want. This is ridiculous, Vanessa said, turning to our father. She's going to ruin the whole trip. She's probably going to show up at our hotel, at our restaurants. I won't, I said quietly. You won't even know I'm there. Right, Vanessa crossed her arms. Because you'll be too busy working, like always. My father sighed, the way he did when he was tired of dealing with me. Mia, I don't know what you're trying to prove, but this isn't the time or place. I'm not trying to prove anything. Then go home. The words hit harder than I expected. Go home. Like I was a child who'd misbehaved. Like I didn't belong here. I looked at him. Really looked at him. And realized he meant it. He wanted me gone. Not just from the airport. From their trip. From their lives. Okay, I said. Vanessa blinked. Okay? Yeah, okay. I adjusted my bag on my shoulder. Have a good flight. I turned to walk away. Mia, my father started, but I didn't stop. Let her go, Vanessa said behind me. She's just being dramatic. I heard them walk toward their gate, heard Vanessa say something that made my father laugh, heard their voices fade into the noise of the terminal. I kept walking, not toward the exit, toward the corridor that led to the FBO. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. They'd made their choice, and I'd made mine. I reached the waiting area near the FBO entrance and stopped to check my phone. The corridor was quieter here, away from the main terminal's chaos. Just a few business travelers, most of them on their phones or laptops. I opened my email. The message from NetJets was at the top of my inbox. Your flight to Le Bourget Airport is confirmed. Departure, 10:45 a.m. Aircraft, Gulfstream G650. Captain, Daniel Cross. I read it twice, then slipped my phone back into my pocket. A woman standing nearby glanced over. She was maybe 50, wearing an expensive suit and carrying a leather briefcase. She'd been watching me since I walked up. Excuse me, she said. I don't mean to intrude, but I couldn't help noticing. Is that a NetJets confirmation? I looked at her. Yes. Her eyes widened slightly. I've only seen those in magazines. You must be... She stopped herself. Sorry, that was rude. It's fine. I just mean that's impressive. Most people don't... She trailed off again, clearly unsure how to finish the sentence without sounding presumptuous. I gave her a polite smile. It's convenient for work. I'm sure. She hesitated, then extended her hand. I'm Patricia. I fly commercial, obviously. She laughed, self-deprecating. I shook her hand. Mia. Well, Mia, safe travels, and congratulations on whatever it is you do that lets you fly like that. Thank you. She walked away, and I was alone again. I pulled out my wallet and looked at the card inside. Black with silver lettering. NetJet's Marquee Jet Card. I'd had it for 2 years. 50 hours of flight time, pre-purchased. It wasn't cheap, $500,000 up front, but it was worth every penny when you spent your life flying between cities for meetings that couldn't wait. My family had no idea it existed. My phone buzzed. Lauren. Are you at the airport? She asked when I answered. Yeah, just ran into my family. Oh God, how bad was it? I leaned against the wall. Let's just say they have no idea what's about to happen. Lauren laughed. When they find out you're flying private and closing the Beaumont deal, they're going to die. Maybe. Maybe? Mia, you're about to become a partner. You're about to close an $80 million merger, and you're doing it while they think you're some struggling consultant who can't even afford a decent vacation. I'm not doing this to embarrass them, Lauren. I know, but you have to admit, there's a certain poetic justice to it. I didn't respond. She was right, but I didn't want to say it out loud. Are you nervous? Lauren asked. About the presentation? Terrified. You're going to be amazing, you always are. Thanks. And Mia, when you land in Paris, when you walk into that boardroom and close this deal, remember that you earned this, every single part of it. No matter what your family thinks. My throat tightened. I will. Good. Now go catch your fancy private jet and show them what real success looks like. I hung up and checked the time, 10:15, 30 minutes until departure. I looked back toward the main terminal, where my father and Vanessa were probably boarding their flight. First class on Air France. Nice, but not private. Not even close. They had no idea I'd be in Paris before them. No idea I'd be staying at a better hotel, meeting with people they'd never heard of, closing a deal that would change my life. And they definitely had no idea I was about to walk past them one more time. I had to walk past their gate to reach the FBO exit. I could have taken a different route, longer, more circuitous, but something made me choose this path. Maybe I wanted one last look. Maybe I wanted to see them in their element, happy and oblivious. I stayed on the far side of the corridor, partially hidden behind a group of travelers. Vanessa was at the gate, phone out, posing for a selfie. She angled the camera to capture the first-class boarding sign behind her, then checked the photo and frowned. She took another, then another. Finally satisfied, she typed something and posted it. Within seconds, her phone lit up with notifications. I pulled out my own phone and opened Instagram. Her post was already there. The photo showed her and our father at the gate, both smiling. The caption read, "First class to Paris with Dad." Some of us know how to travel in style. #blessed, #family time, #first class, #Paris. A few people near the gate had noticed her. One woman whispered to her companion, pointing. Vanessa noticed and smiled wider, clearly enjoying the attention. Then she said, loud enough for half the gate area to hear, "My sister's probably in economy. If she even made it to the airport, she can't afford anything better." Several people looked around, as if trying to spot this mysterious sister. My father said something to her, too quiet for me to hear. Vanessa laughed and waved her hand dismissively. I stood there, watching them, feeling nothing. Not anger, not hurt, just a strange, detached clarity. Let her have her moment. It won't last long. I checked my watch. 10:20. 25 minutes until my flight. I turned and walked toward the FBO exit, leaving them behind. The FBO entrance was just past their gate. I had to walk directly in front of it to reach the corridor. I kept my head up, my pace steady. I wasn't hiding. I wasn't sneaking. I was just walking to my flight. Vanessa saw me first. "Mia!" Her voice cut through the noise of the terminal. "Where are you going?" I didn't stop, didn't slow down, just kept walking. Mia! Louder this time. The gates are the other way. Economy's back there. People turned to look. A lot of people. The entire gate area went quiet. I stopped walking, turned around. Vanessa was standing now, phone in hand, a smirk on her face. Are you lost? Do you need help finding your gate? The crowd was staring. Some of them had their phones out. I could see the exact moment someone started recording. I'm fine, Vanessa, thanks. Are you sure? She walked closer, her voice dripping with fake concern. Because you're going the wrong way, unless you're not actually flying? Did you just come here to see us off? A few people in the crowd laughed. I adjusted my bag on my shoulder. I'm going to my flight. Your flight? She looked around at the crowd, playing to them. Seriously, where are you going? There's no gate over there. I know. She blinked. Then what? My father appeared beside her. Mia, stop making a scene. I looked at him. I'm not making a scene, Dad. I'm just going to my flight. What flight? Vanessa demanded. You're not on ours. I checked. I told you, I have my own arrangements. What does that even mean? I didn't answer. I just looked at her, calm and steady. She was about to say something else when a man in uniform walked up behind me. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Seriously, Mia, where are you going? She was louder now, loud enough that people at neighboring gates were looking over. I could see phones being raised, cameras pointed in our direction. I already told you. No, you gave me some cryptic non-answer about arrangements. She made air quotes again. What arrangements? Did you book some budget airline I've never heard of? My father stepped forward. Mia, enough. This is embarrassing. For who? For all of us. He glanced at the crowd, clearly uncomfortable with the attention. Can we discuss this somewhere private? There's nothing to discuss. Vanessa moved closer, her voice sharp. You know what? I think you're lying. I think you're not even flying anywhere. I think you just came here to make us feel bad about not inviting you. The crowd was fully engaged now. I could hear whispers, see people leaning in to get a better view. Think what you want, Vanessa. I will. She crossed her arms. And you know what else I think? I think you're jealous. Jealous that Dad and I have a real relationship. Jealous that I have a family and a life and you have… What? A job? My father put his hand on her shoulder. Vanessa, that's enough. No, Dad. She needs to hear this. She turned back to me. You made your choice, Mia. You chose work over family. And now you're alone. Don't blame us for that. The terminal felt very quiet. I looked at her, then at my father. Neither of them seemed to realize how this looked, how they looked. Are you done? I asked. Vanessa opened her mouth to respond. That's when the man in uniform spoke. Ms. Ashford? The voice came from behind me, professional, polite, unmistakably authoritative. I turned. A man in a pilot's uniform stood there, holding a leather portfolio with a name placard visible on top. He was maybe 45, with graying hair and the kind of bearing that came from years of command. Yes, I said. That's me. He smiled. I'm Captain Daniel Cross. Your jet is ready, ma'am. We're departing from Hangar 5. The terminal went silent. I mean completely, utterly silent. Like someone had hit a mute button on the entire airport. Vanessa's mouth fell open. My father's eyes widened. The crowd stared. Thank you, Captain, I said, as calmly as if he'd just told me the weather. I'll be right there. Take your time. He gestured toward the corridor. We're on your schedule. He nodded politely to the crowd, then walked back toward the FBO entrance. I turned to follow him. Wait, Vanessa's voice cracked. Mia, what, your jet? I stopped, looked back at her. She was pale. Actually pale. My father stood beside her, frozen, his expression somewhere between shock and confusion. My jet, I confirmed. But how… You can't… I can, I said quietly. And I am. A woman in the crowd whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Did he just say her jet? Someone else. She's flying private? Oh my God. Another voice. I thought her sister said she couldn't afford economy. Vanessa's face went from pale to red in about 2 seconds. My father found his voice. Mia, I don't understand. You never said. You never asked, Dad. I turned and walked toward Captain Cross, who was waiting at the corridor entrance. Behind me, the terminal erupted in whispers. I heard it all as I walked away. Did you see her face? Which one? The sister or the woman who just got called out? Both. Oh my God, this is insane. Wait, so she's actually flying private? Like, on a private jet? That's what the pilot said. But her sister just said she couldn't afford economy. Laughter. Lots of it. This is the best thing I've seen all year. I'm posting this everywhere. Already did. It's going to go viral. I kept walking, my pace steady, my head up. Captain Cross held the door open for me. Just before I stepped through, I heard a woman's voice, clear and cutting. Excuse me, miss? She was talking to Vanessa. I thought you said your sister couldn't afford to fly. Silence. Then another voice. Yeah, you literally just said she was probably in economy, but she's flying private? Vanessa's voice was small. I didn't know. Clearly. More laughter. Someone else. This is what happens when you judge people. You never know. I'm definitely following this story. Someone better post an update. Oh, I'm recording. This is going on TikTok. My father's voice, strained. Vanessa, come on. Let's board. But Dad, now. I stepped through the door. It closed behind me, muffling the noise of the terminal. Captain Cross smiled. Busy morning? I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. You could say that. Well, the good news is, from here on out, it's smooth sailing, or smooth flying, I should say. Thank you, Captain. My pleasure, Ms. Ashford. He gestured down the hallway. Right this way. Your aircraft is ready. We walked toward the hangar, leaving the chaos behind. But I knew it wasn't over, not even close. If you're still watching, thank you. I know this story is intense, but I'm sharing it because I want you to know. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your success. Not your family, not strangers. No one. If this resonates with you, please hit that subscribe button and drop a comment telling me, have you ever been underestimated by your own family? I read every single one, and I want to hear your story. Now, let's get to what happened next, because this was just the beginning. The terminal might have been shocked, but the real revelations were still to come. Captain Cross led me through a private corridor, away from the crowds. The walls were lined with photos of aircraft, sleek jets against blue skies, the kind of images that screamed luxury. I have you confirmed for the Gulfstream G650, he said, checking his tablet. Flight time to Le Bourget is approximately 7 hours, depending on winds. Perfect. Thank you. We've stocked your preferred refreshments based on your profile. Sparkling water, green tea, fresh fruit. The Beaumont team sent over some documents this morning. They're already loaded on the aircraft system if you want to review them during the flight. I nodded. That's helpful. Is there anything else you need before we depart? No, I think I'm all set. We walked through a set of automatic doors and onto the tarmac. The noise hit me first. The distant roar of commercial jets, the whine of engines, the organized chaos of an active airport. And then I saw it. The Gulfstream G650, white and gleaming in the morning sun, parked about 50 yards away. The stairs were already down, and a flight attendant stood at the entrance, waiting. Captain Cross noticed my expression. Beautiful aircraft, isn't it? One of the finest in the NetJet's fleet. It is. We walked toward the plane. Behind us, back in the terminal, my family was probably boarding their commercial flight. Cramped seats, recycled air, crying babies. First class, yes, but still commercial. I was walking toward a $70 million jet. A man standing near a fuel truck watched us pass. He did a double take when he saw the plane, then looked at me with something like awe. I kept my expression neutral, professional, like this was completely normal, because for me, it was. I was halfway up the stairs when I heard my name. Mia! Wait! I turned. Vanessa was running across the tarmac, my father close behind her. Security was already moving to intercept them, but they'd made it through the door somehow. Captain Cross stepped forward. Ma'am, this is a restricted area. I need to talk to my sister, Vanessa shouted. I held up a hand. It's fine, Captain. Give me a moment. He nodded but stayed close, clearly ready to intervene if needed. Vanessa stopped at the bottom of the stairs, breathing hard. Her face was flushed, her carefully styled hair coming loose. Mia, what is this? You're flying private? Yes. Since when can you afford that? I came down 2 steps, so we were closer to eye level. I've been flying NetJets for 2 years, Vanessa. You just never asked. But how? You're just a consultant. I'm a senior director, and I'm closing an $80 million deal in Paris. That's why I'm here. The words hung in the air. My father, who'd been silent until now, spoke. 80 million? Yes. Mia, I didn't know you were working on something that big. You didn't ask, Dad. You never asked. Vanessa looked between us, her expression shifting from shock to something else. Embarrassment, maybe, or anger. Why didn't you tell us? Because I shouldn't have to prove my worth to my own family. That's not fair. Isn't it? I looked at her. You spent the last hour telling everyone I couldn't afford to fly. You posted on Instagram about how I'm not successful. You've spent years treating me like I'm less than you because my life doesn't look like yours. I didn't. You did. My father stepped closer. His voice was quiet, strained. Mia, I'm sorry. I didn't know. You didn't ask, Dad. But you could have told us. You could have said something. Why should I have to? I felt my composure crack, just slightly. Why is it my job to make you see me? Why do I have to prove that my life matters? He opened his mouth, then closed it. He had no answer. For 5 years, I continued. You've treated me like a disappointment. Like I'm less than Vanessa because I'm not married, don't have kids, don't fit your definition of success. You've ignored my career, dismissed my accomplishments, and made me feel invisible in my own family. That's not true. It is true. My voice was steady now, calm. You know how many times you've asked about my work in the last year? 0. You know how many family events I've been excluded from? Too many to count. You didn't invite me to Paris because you didn't think I'd enjoy it. But the truth is, you didn't want me there. My father's face crumpled. Mia, I'm not angry, Dad. I'm just done. Done begging for your approval. Done shrinking myself to fit into your world. Vanessa found her voice. This is ridiculous. You're being dramatic. I looked at her. Am I? You just humiliated me in front of hundreds of people. You told them I was poor, unsuccessful, pathetic, and now you're upset because it turns out you were wrong? She didn't respond. I didn't come here to embarrass you, I said. I came here to do my job. But you made this public. You made this a spectacle, not me. Captain Cross cleared his throat gently. Ms. Ashford, we should depart soon. A crowd had gathered at the terminal windows overlooking the tarmac. Dozens of faces pressed against the glass, phones held up, recording everything. One of them must have had the window cracked open because I heard a woman's voice carry across the distance. She just called her sister out. Oh my God, this is amazing. Another voice. I can't believe the sister thought she was poor. Look at that jet. This is the best karma I've ever seen. Vanessa heard it too. Her face went from red to crimson. She looked at the windows, at all those people watching, and something in her seemed to break. This is your fault, she hissed at me. You did this on purpose. I did nothing. You're the one who made a scene. You could have told me. You could have warned me. Why? So you could pretend to be proud of me? So you could take credit for my success? I shook my head. No, Vanessa, you don't get to do that. My father put his hand on her shoulder. Vanessa, let's go. We're going to miss our flight. But now, he looked at me one more time. Mia, we need to talk. When we're all back in New York. Maybe, I said. If you're ready to actually listen. He nodded slowly, then turned and led Vanessa back toward the terminal. She looked back once, her expression a mixture of shock and humiliation. The crowd at the windows erupted. I couldn't hear exactly what they were saying, but I saw phones everywhere, saw people talking excitedly, saw the moment this became more than just a family drama. This was going viral. Captain Cross touched my elbow gently. Ms. Ashford? I nodded. I'm ready. I climbed the stairs and stepped into the jet, leaving them all behind. The interior of the Gulfstream was exactly as I remembered. Cream leather seats, polished wood accents, soft lighting. The flight attendant greeted me with a warm smile and took my bag. I sank into one of the seats and closed my eyes. My phone buzzed. Lauren. Oh my God, it's all over Twitter, she said the moment I answered. Did you really just walk past them to your private jet? I didn't plan it, Lauren. I just lived my life. Well, Vanessa's Instagram is getting destroyed. People are calling her out for being classist, entitled, judgmental. It's brutal. I felt a pang of something. Not quite guilt, but close. I didn't want this. I know you didn't. But Mia, she did this to herself. She's the one who decided to humiliate you in public. She's the one who posted that caption about traveling in style while mocking you. This is just consequences. It doesn't feel good. It's not supposed to feel good. It's supposed to feel fair. I leaned back in my seat. Through the window, I could see the terminal in the distance. My father and Vanessa were probably back at their gate by now, dealing with the aftermath. Are you okay? Lauren asked. I don't know. I'm tired. I just wanted them to see me, you know? I didn't want to humiliate them. You didn't humiliate them. You just stopped hiding. There's a difference. Is there? Yes. Her voice was firm. You've spent years making yourself smaller for them. You finally stopped. That's not revenge, that's self-respect. I didn't respond. I wasn't sure I agreed. Get some rest, Lauren said. You have a huge presentation in 2 days. Focus on that. Your family will figure themselves out. Thanks, Lauren. Anytime. I was about to hang up when Lauren said, Wait, there's something else. What? You know how the firm has been looking at strategic acquisitions? Yeah. Well, one of them just closed this morning. We acquired a 30% stake in Hartley Brands. I sat up straight. Hartley Brands? As in Marcus Hartley? Vanessa's husband's company? The very same. My stomach dropped. Lauren, when did this happen? The deal closed at 8 this morning. You're now technically part of the ownership structure, which means I'm Vanessa's boss's boss. I finished the sentence, my voice flat. Essentially, yes. I pressed my hand to my forehead. This is going to make everything worse. Maybe. Or maybe it's just more consequences. Mia, you didn't orchestrate this. The acquisition was in the works for months. It has nothing to do with what just happened at the airport. But they won't see it that way. Probably not, but that's not your problem. She paused. Marcus called the office this morning. He wanted to know if Vanessa's behavior was going to be a liability for the company. What did you tell him? I told him that personnel decisions are made based on performance and professional conduct, not family relationships. But between you and me, her little Instagram stunt didn't help. The video from the airport is everywhere. It's not a good look for someone who works in marketing. I closed my eyes. I didn't fire her. I don't want to fire her. You didn't. But if she can't behave professionally, that's on her, not you. She's going to think I did this on purpose. Let her think what she wants. You didn't do anything wrong. After I hung up with Lauren, I sat in silence for a long moment. The jet's engines hummed softly. Outside, ground crew moved around the aircraft, preparing for departure. I pulled out my laptop and opened my email. I stared at the blank message for a full minute before I started typing. Dad, I love you. I do. But I can't keep accepting being treated as less than. For years, I've tried to earn your approval by being quiet, by not making waves, by accepting that my life doesn't fit your definition of success. I'm done with that. If you want a relationship with me, it has to be built on respect, not conditions. It has to be built on actually knowing who I am, not who you wish I was. I'm not asking you to understand my choices. I'm asking you to respect them, to respect me. I'm open to talking when you're ready. But I won't apologize for my success. I won't apologize for building a life that makes me happy. And I won't keep shrinking myself to fit into your world. I hope you can understand that. Love, Mia. I read it 3 times, then hit send before I could second-guess myself. My phone buzzed immediately. A text from my father. We need to talk. I turned off my phone. Captain Cross appeared in the doorway. We're ready for takeoff, Ms. Ashford. Should be wheels up in about 5 minutes. Thank you, Captain. My pleasure. Sit back and relax. We'll have you in Paris before you know it. I buckled my seatbelt and looked out the window. The terminal was still visible in the distance, but it was getting smaller. As the jet began to taxi, I felt something shift inside me. Not relief, exactly, not happiness, but something close to peace. I wasn't running away. I was moving forward. I woke up somewhere over the Atlantic. The flight attendant brought me tea and a light meal. I tried to work, tried to review the Beaumont presentation, but I couldn't focus. Instead, I made the mistake of opening Twitter. The video was everywhere. Woman mocks sister for being poor, then sister's private jet arrives, had 5 million views in less than 12 hours. The comments were brutal. This is the best karma I've ever seen. Imagine being so confident you're better than someone and then this happens. The sister's face when the pilot showed up. I'm dead. This is what happens when you judge people. You never know who they really are. I need a full documentary on this woman. Who is she? What does she do? I have so many questions. Someone had found Vanessa's Instagram. Her post about traveling in style had been screenshot and shared thousands of times, with people tearing apart every word. Some of us know how to travel in style, aged like milk. The audacity to post this while mocking your sister. Unreal. She deleted all her social media, can't handle the heat. I closed Twitter and opened Instagram. Vanessa's account was gone, completely deactivated. My father hadn't posted anything, but someone had found his LinkedIn and was leaving comments. Maybe spend less time judging your daughter and more time being proud of her. A reporter from Business Insider had emailed me asking for an interview. So had someone from the New York Times, and a producer from a morning show. I deleted all of them. I didn't want to be famous. I didn't want attention. I just wanted to do my job and be respected by my family. But I guess you don't always get to choose how your story gets told. I landed in Paris on Tuesday evening. The Beaumont meetings weren't until Wednesday, so I had time to settle in, review my materials, and try to sleep off the jet lag. I didn't sleep. Instead, I lay in my hotel room at the Four Seasons, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything that had happened at JFK. My phone rang at 2 in the morning. New York time, 9 in the morning. My father. I stared at the screen for 3 rings before I answered. Mia. His voice was rough, like he'd been crying. I'm sorry. I didn't say anything. I should have asked. I should have listened. I should have seen you. Why didn't you? Long silence, then, I don't know. I think I think I was so focused on what I thought your life should look like that I couldn't see what it actually was. That's not good enough, Dad. I know. He cleared his throat. What do you need from me? The question caught me off guard. What? What do you need from me? To make this right? I sat up in bed. I need you to see me as I am, not as you want me to be. I need you to respect my choices, even if you don't understand them. And I need you to stop treating me like I'm less than Vanessa just because my life looks different. Okay. Okay? Okay, I'll try. I promise I'll try. I felt something loosen in my chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but something close to hope. Thank you, I said quietly. Mia, I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago, but I'm saying it now. I'm proud of you. My throat tightened. Thank you, Dad. Go close your deal. Show them what you're made of. I will. The Beaumont deal closed on Friday morning. 3 days of intense negotiations, but we got there. $80 million. Partnership approved. My name on the door. I should have been celebrating. Instead, I was staring at my phone. Vanessa had texted me that morning. Are you happy now? I didn't respond immediately. I finished the meeting, shook hands with the Beaumont executives, accepted congratulations from my team. Then I went back to my hotel and looked at the message again. Lauren had filled me in on what happened. Hartley Brands had let Vanessa go. Not because of me, because the viral video had created a PR crisis. Clients were calling, asking if the company endorsed that kind of behavior. Marcus had been forced to make a choice, his wife or his business. He chose his business, and then he'd filed for divorce. I felt sick reading about it. Not because I felt guilty, I hadn't done anything to cause this, but because it was my sister, and no matter how badly she'd treated me, I didn't want her life to fall apart. I typed and deleted 3 different responses before settling on, I'm not happy about what happened to you, but I'm not responsible for your choices. She responded immediately, You ruined my life. No. You made a choice to humiliate me in public. You made a choice to judge me without knowing anything about my life. You made a choice to treat me like I was less than you. Those were your choices, not mine. I hate you. I stared at those 3 words for a long time. Then I typed, I don't hate you. I just can't have you in my life right now. I blocked her number. It felt like closing a door. Final, irreversible, but necessary. Before we get to the end, I want to ask you something. Do you think I did the right thing? Should I have handled it differently? Should I have warned Vanessa or told my family about my success earlier? I genuinely want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're enjoying this story, please share it with someone who needs to hear that they don't have to shrink themselves to fit into someone else's expectations. You don't owe anyone an explanation for being successful. Okay, let's finish this. I flew back to New York the following Tuesday. First class on Air France, ironically, the same flight my family had taken the week before. I spent most of the flight thinking about what I'd learned. I used to think that if I just worked hard enough, if I just achieved enough, my family would see me, would value me, would recognize that my life had meaning, even if it didn't look like theirs. But the truth is, some people will never see you. Not because you're not enough, but because they've already decided who you are. They've built a version of you in their minds, and no amount of evidence will change that version. My family saw me as the workaholic daughter, the one who chose career over relationships, the one who was successful maybe, but ultimately, alone and unhappy. They saw that version of me because it was easier than seeing the truth. That I was happy, that I'd built a life I loved, that I didn't need their approval to feel whole. And when the truth finally forced itself into view, when they couldn't ignore it anymore, they didn't celebrate. They got defensive, angry, hurt, because my success wasn't about them, and they couldn't handle that. I learned something else, too. I don't owe anyone access to my life, not even family. For years, I'd felt guilty for setting boundaries, guilty for not attending every family event, guilty for prioritizing my career, guilty for not fitting into their mold. But boundaries aren't cruel, they're self-respect. And if people can't respect your boundaries, they don't deserve your presence. I'm not saying I cut off my family forever. My father and I are talking. Slowly, carefully, building something new, something based on who I actually am, instead of who he wants me to be. But Vanessa? I don't know. Maybe someday, maybe not. Either way, I'm okay with it. Because I didn't lose my family that day at JFK. I found myself. 6 months later, my life looks different. I made partner at Barrington and Hayes, youngest in the firm's history. My office has a view of Central Park, and my name is on the website. I lead a team of 12 people, and we're working on deals across 3 continents. I still fly NetJets. Not because I need to prove anything, but because it's efficient. Because my time is valuable. Because I've earned it. I don't post about it on social media. I don't need to. My father and I talk every week, phone calls mostly. He asks about my work now. Actually asks and actually listens. He's trying. It's not perfect, but it's real. He came to New York last month and took me to dinner. Just the 2 of us. He told me he was proud of me. That he was sorry for not seeing me sooner. That he was working on being a better father. I told him I appreciated it. And I meant it. We don't talk about Vanessa much. She's living in Connecticut now, working at a small marketing firm. Divorced, starting over. My father sees her occasionally, but their relationship is strained too. I don't feel good about that. But I don't feel guilty either. She made her choices. I made mine. I'm dating someone now. Another consultant, actually. Someone who understands the long hours, the travel, the passion for the work. Someone who doesn't see my career as competition or a character flaw. Someone who sees me. My life isn't perfect. I still work too much. I still miss family events sometimes. I still struggle with balance. But I'm happy. Genuinely, authentically happy. Not because I proved my family wrong. Not because I won some imaginary competition. But because I stopped living for their approval and started living for myself. The woman who stood at JFK 6 months ago, watching her sister mock her in front of hundreds of people, she was scared, hurt, uncertain. The woman I am now, I'm free. So that's my story. The day my sister mocked me at the airport gate, the day a pilot called my name and everything changed, the day I stopped shrinking myself to fit into a world that was never meant for me. I didn't plan for it to go viral. I didn't plan for any of it, really. I just lived my life. I just stopped hiding who I was. And sometimes, that's enough. If you're watching this and you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or judged by the people who should love you most, I see you. I see you. And I want you to know, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. Your worth isn't determined by their approval. It's not determined by whether you fit their definition of success. It's not determined by how many Instagram likes you get or how impressive your life looks from the outside. Your worth is determined by you, by how you treat yourself, by the boundaries you set, by the life you build for yourself, even when no one else understands it. I'm not going to tell you that setting boundaries is easy. It's not. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, especially with family. But it's necessary. Because you deserve to be seen. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to take up space in this world without apologizing for it. My family didn't see me until they couldn't ignore me anymore. And even then, it took time for them to really understand. But I don't need them to understand anymore. I just need them to respect me. And if they can't do that, then I'll be okay without them. Because I finally learned the most important lesson. I don't need anyone's permission to be successful. I don't need anyone's approval to be happy. I just need to be myself. And so do you. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And tell me, what's one boundary you're setting this week? I'll be reading every comment. Take care of yourself, you deserve it. I'm Mia Ashford, and I'm done apologizing for taking up space.